cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella shit.
I don't think I've ever actually been
okay. We're back in the bee yard now. I'm gonna do a little bit of hands-on practical experience with my friends Dave and Tim, waving there. Hi, hi guys. And Dave walked back here for this is the first time he's been back here this year, and his number one question was, do the bees do okay being under shade? Do they have any problems being in the woods? My answer is no. If you watch a lot of other commercial beekeepers, they put them out in open fields. A lot of backyard beekeepers tell you to keep your bees in direct sunlight, and I say put them wherever it's convenient for you. Okay, if you want to put them in the woods, put them in the woods. If you've got a nice clearing, there's a few reasons for it. It does keep them from getting too hot. That's pro bonus. In the winter time, it does serve as a windbreak. So that's north over there, and the cold wind comes out of the north, and it blocks the bees, keeps them a little bit warmer in the winter time. And Dave and Tim are getting a good lesson in standing in the flight path of bees right now. I'm seeing bees
investigating me
all over the place because you're right in front of the front door.
Yep, they're investigating me.
Would it be a good idea for us to move back?
Off to the side a little bit maybe, but they're not going to hurt you. You're fine.
No, they're just flying up and seeing who we were.
So that was fun. So if you've got a clearing that's in direct sunlight for part of the day, that's great. It helps them warm the honey. It helps them dehydrate the honey. The honey might get capped a little bit quicker, but I have not had a problem keeping them in full shade year round. Well, in the wintertime, there's no leaves on the trees, so they do get the warmth in the wintertime from the sun because with no foliage.
And they get a little bit of a windbreak.
And then they get the windbreak. So I think it's an advantage to have them in the woods personally. Other people will tell you exactly the opposite. Another problem that people will tell you that you have when you keep your bees in the woods is that you're going to have really bad small hive beetle problems. Small hive beetles are tiny black ladybugs, and they will infest a weak hive, and they will drive the bees out. They'll drive the bees crazy. They will lay their larvae in the cells as they try to get protein. They're going to really go after the young brood and the pollen that's stored in here, and they will just make a slimy mess out of everything. But if your bees if you have a strong colony, they will actually corral the small hive beetles, and it won't be much of an issue at all.
So they kind of back them into a corner and
they'll actually
stand guard on them and keep them from moving around?
Well, they'll actually propolize them and put them in a jail.
Well, no kidding. Yeah,
but when you come along and open the hive up, you break that propolis seal and all the hive beetles get let loose. It's like a jailbreak. But there are traps. If it becomes a problem, you can purchase traps that get slid down in between the frames. Put a little bit of mineral oil in there. The bees will chase the hive beetles into those traps, and then they'll drown. So there's a lot of ways to combat it. But I've had a few in here in the past, and maybe we'll see some today. But generally speaking, I've not had an infestation problem keeping them out here. Other people will, like I said, will tell you at the bee club meetings, you got to keep them in direct sunlight to keep the small hive beetles down. The small hive beetles don't like the heat, but I haven't noticed one way or the other. I've seen beetles in hot hives. I've seen them in cool hives, but I have very little problem here. So gotta make sure our smoker's still going. And we'll just give them a little, I like to give them a little bit of a puff at the door, just to let them know that I'm coming. We'll keep this handy. Then we'll crack the top. Okay. Little smoke under the lid. And you want to check your lid to make sure that the queen's not sitting on it. Because if you have the queen on the lid and you just bounce it down, she gone.
Really? She won't find her way back into the hive?
Not unless you bump her right next to the door.
Really?
And she could get lost. You just don't want to take a chance doing that. Now, I'm just using the regular pry bar style hive tool. And I either go down between these connecting points. This is the weakest part of the frame, and if you just get in here and try to pop it, you can break your frames right on those ears. And I've done it. And in my last video, I checked to see if they were making wax in this box, and it doesn't look like much has changed. You can see there's a sheet of foundation underneath this. I don't know if you can see, but there are wires that go up and down. Those wires, when you're extracting honey, keep the comb from breaking and falling out in an extractor, because it's subjected to a lot of centrifugal force.
So is that in addition to the foundation, the plastic foundation?
You can buy plastic foundation and you don't need the wire. This happens to be 100% beeswax foundation, and it has embedded wires in it.
Crisscross in it.
The crisscross wires going lengthwise are wires that I put in.
Okay, just to give it a little extra.
To hold it all together. So when you're going through your hive, you want to make sure that you've got room in here to work. So the first frame, I usually pull the one closest to me.
Set it off to the
And
side.
I set it off to the side, and I'm going to rock it a little bit because there's going to be bees underneath of there. And I lean it up against the side of the box that I'm working on, because if the queen happens to be on there and I didn't see her, I want her to be able to walk into this hive.
Figure out how
I don't want to
get
lean it up
home.
against the next hive in case she walks into there. Then there's two queens in that one,
And now you lose one.
Now
you're gonna
Yeah.
not gonna work out well.
There's going to be a little fight going on there.
Right. Now this is a starter strip. This is you see there's no foundation, no wax in here, no wires, but I've got this little strip. If you're running low on foundation, and if there's a honey flow on and bees are in the mood to make wax, you can take one sheet of wax foundation, and I cut it with a pizza cutter, and I use a ruler and a pizza cutter and just zip it along, and I made about 6 pieces of this out of one sheet of foundation. One sheet of foundation is probably about $1.50 per sheet of wax foundation. So if you can get 6 pieces for $1.50, you're doing pretty well, but you're asking a lot of the bees to build all that out. They have to consume a lot of honey in order to build a lot of wax.
So when you're starting out, you're probably better off just to start out with full sheets.
Full sheets. And if you're either going to use the plastic or wax foundation, either one, but definitely start
Say
with
with
foundation.
this, without the wire or the plastic, might that not do so well in the extractor?
It wouldn't work well at all in the extractor.
So you're hoping that ends up being a brood one, not honey, if possible.
Well, you can. They can turn this into a brood frame, and then in which case we'll always be treating it gently. Or what I'm hoping for is to get them to draw this out, fill it with nectar, cure it into honey, and then I can cut it out and make comb honey.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually more profitable too if you're actually trying to make money, right?
Much more.
Is it really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, a 4x4 square of comb honey. If you go to like the last time, first of all, if you can even find it somewhere, it's expensive. The last time I saw it was at the Renaissance Fair a couple of years ago. It was $25 for a 4x4 square. Now that is maybe half a pound. I charge a fair price for my honey. My extracted honey I sell in a jar $10 a pound. Some people get more. some people get, sell it for less. But at $10 a pound for bottled honey, you're doing pretty well. But for $25 for half a pound of comb, you're also doing really well, but it sets you back. The bees have to remake that comb every time.
Right.
And again, here's another starter strip with nothing on it. And so every time I'm doing this, I'm easing very slowly. I'm easing the comb away from the box, and I'm lifting it out in super slow motion. I don't want to upset the bees. I don't want to jostle them.
Looks like I got some pollen going there.
No, this is all honey.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's already capped, yeah.
This part is capped. And if you want, you could stick your finger in there. You could taste that. We just crack that open, and that works actually. Right here.
Mmm. Fresh.
Well, fun doing this.
So then is this uncapped honey right here?
Right. You can see it's a little bit on the shiny side.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if all that shininess was the honey just not capped yet.
Yep. So.
And they'll just fix that right back up, won't they?
Yeah, they'll recap that we broke down. The rest of it is nectar. It's still too thin. If I was to shake this real hard this way, and this is the way I was actually taught to see if your honey is ready. Not all of the honey that you can extract is going to be in capped cells. Some of it will still be open, but if you give it a shake,
Yeah.
see the nectar fell out.
Yep.
That's still not right. That's not honey yet. That's too watery.
They'll come collect that and put it back in, and
right. I like to do it over the box so that they can get back to it without irritating them too much.
Now, when you put the frames back in, you want to put them back in the same order?
I try to. They can deal with it. They're not going to get all that upset, but I like to keep the orientation pretty close to the way that it was before. And I slide everything over as far as I can that way before I put this last one in. Like I said, just in case there's a queen on there, I don't want to roll down. And then I come back, ease it over, and center it up. Because you'll have less of a mess with bridge comb, comb that they build in between the frame, the top of the next box and the bottom, if the combs are directly over top of each other. So what we're going to do now, there wasn't much going on in here, so we'll crack another one and set these off to the side. Tim, go ahead and give them a little puff. Give it a good puff. There you go. And what that's going to do is it's going to mask any alarm pheromone, and it's also going to drive them back down and tell them to kind of stay calm. So I'm going to try and separate these, give myself some room. And I don't want to jam anybody up if I can help it.
Yeah, this time of the year I've got so much clover in my yard, I almost hate mowing my yard because the neighbors' bees are all out there.
Okay, now this, we're starting to see some bees now. This is absolutely
tons of honey,
full of nectar. Okay. And same on this side. It's not capped, but this is also the outside. They're going to work from the middle frames out to the edges, which is another great reason to use 5-frame boxes, because bees in a tree like to work up, not necessarily out so much. So this kind of mimics a little bit more of what they would be doing in nature. So there, this is where I think that's a broken frame right there. You can see a little bit of wood splinter.
Now you're really probably better off not getting into the hive very often, right?
Depends on what time of the year it is.
Yeah.
If you are in the early part of the year, I want to make sure that I'm not getting swarm cells. I want to make sure that the early in the spring, I want to make sure that the queen is laying. I want to make sure she's doing okay, and that there's nothing alarming going on in the hive. I'm going to look at how many frames of bees there are, how many seams, have in between the frames actually have bees on them. If they're looking full, if they need more space, if they're completely congested, then they're going to say it's going to trigger their swarming instinct, and crowded bees are going to make queen cells, and they're going to leave, and they're going to swarm to go find more room. Your job as a beekeeper is to add another box before that starts to happen. And if you want those big giant honey crops, you watch them early in the spring, and when they start to expand and you've got sheets of brood, and every sheet of brood you're going to have about 4,000 new bees, and so very quickly your population can explode. And as soon as those bees hatch out, if there's not enough space for them all to be comfortable, they'll make some queen cells. They'll leave those queen cells, and about half of them are going to take off with the queen to go look for more space.
So you won't lose your whole hive.
Typically.
You hope.
Everything in beekeeping is
You
typically,
Yeah.
usually.
You hope that
So
those
what do you
queens
do
are-
with a queen cell? Do you see a queen cell?
Mhm.
Do you just smash it?
Some people do. Some
Yeah.
people will smash it to put on other boxes and hope that the bees haven't already decided to leave and swarm. If they've already decided to leave and swarm, and you can't ask them because they don't talk, you're not going to know until it's too late. But what I like to do every time I see them making queen cells is I like to determine, is there still a good laying pattern? Is my queen still functioning? Is there a problem with the queen? Is that why? Are they trying to replace the queen because she's running out of steam, she's running out of sperm, she doesn't have any more fertilized eggs, they know it and they're going to get ready to replace her? Or is this a swarming instinct because they're crowded? If they're crowded, what I like to do is I like to cut out those queen cells and make more hives. Then I'm getting free bees. I'm getting
So
new
you can actually
colonies.
take those queen cells and move them to another hive.
Absolutely. They're beautiful queen cells, and as long as you've got drones in the area and you can get them mated, those queens come back. The more hives you make, the more queen cells you get, the more hives that you can make.
Yeah.
And those are freebies. And but if they've already made up their mind to leave, and you take all the queen cells and put one in this box, one in the next box, one in the next
You'll
box,
just move right to the next box.
and if that first queen leaves and takes some of the bees, well, you've got, even more. You're still going to have some of you should still have some bees left in the original box, and you've just made all those extras.
Now, would you be able to take brood from one hive and move it to the other hive?
Absolutely. That's called
Yeah.
boosting. You can, and that's what I did here. I had one major hive. It made a lot of queen cells, and then I think the queen left. But since I took the queen cells out, I was able to make 3 hives out of 1. Okay, look at this. This is cool. What a great looking frame. This is what I was talking about before with the honey band and the queen not wanting to go up. See here, this is all honey, and it's all capped. And see, it's in an arch.
Mhm.
Okay, underneath that arch, right over here, where they're at, you can actually see larvae inside the cells. They're little curlicue larvae in there. So the queen has come up in here, and she's laid this whole open area full of eggs. And then after 3 days, the eggs hatch, and these larvae start to emerge. And they start off very small, and then they take up the entire cell. Then they'll go through a pupation period, just like a butterfly. They'll go through a transformation. They'll spin their own cocoon. This will get capped over. They're going to go through a metamorphosis, grow wings, and then they'll chew their way through the cocoon and emerge as new bees. So they start as an egg. They turn into a little tiny curlicue worm larva.
All
And,
right in that area right there.
Mm-hmm.
You can see it just.
Do you
Yeah.
see them? Okay.
That's cool.
Now, are the two there that are kind of capped over, are those actual in the pupal stage?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the cocoons they make.
Yep. And the you can tell the difference. There's a color difference between this and this.
Oh,
This
yeah.
almost looks like a brown paper bag. You know,
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
very. It almost
It's
looks
also very
fibrous.
symmetrical.
And then these is just, wax. And the other side is the same thing. A nice honey band around the outside, lots of bees, and the bees are protecting the larva in there. They're keeping it warm and they are feeding it.
And that's why they have the band of honey right there too then, right? So
Yep.
they have easy access to the food?
The baby bees, the brood, is
Trying to
more,
split.
they are more in need of protein than the carbohydrate. So they need to have pollen, or what's known as royal jelly. So the bees will eat pollen and nectar, and they have a gland near their mouth, and they turn that into royal jelly, and they'll feed it to the larva or to the queen. The queen gets a lot more when she's in a development stage.
So
When
it's a
they're
lot of pupa right there.
This is all capped brood, and there's even some on the bottom, and honey around the outside. We're getting to the point where we
You might be finding the queen here.
you
soon.
might see her. I don't look for her. I almost make a habit not to. That way I can get in and out of the hive quicker.
Mhm.
What I want to see is I want to see brood in all stages. I want to see some pollen stores, and I want to see honey stores. And then once I see that, I can get out of the.
Yeah, you know the queen's doing good because everything's in order. Right.
If I've got open brood and eggs and closed, sealed brood and food,
Everything's all good then. It's a functioning colony.
right. And then at that point, my question is, do I need, they're getting a little irritated. Do I need more space? Are they going to swarm? Do I need to put a honey box on? And once I answer all those questions, I do what I got to do and I get out. And once again, we've got
Brood.
honey and capped brood and open brood. And there we go. Who wants to pull the next frame out?
Sure can.
Okay.
Said they're irritated. Do you need to smoke again, or just
Yep,
you go
a little.
fast?
A little bit. No, I never go
Not
fast.
fast, but I mean in and out without too much messing around,
Just
sort
give
of
'em a-
fast.
There we go. All right, now come on over here,
Except that where it won't fall over.
and then just kind of wrench in here and over there a little
Right
bit.
behind the nubs, right?
Hmm?
Like right here, behind the nub.
You can, but on the outside edge, I usually take this side, slide it in, and then just give
Oh, give it a little
give
snug.
it just a little twist. These have been sticky, but they're not snappy. All that glue is called propolis, and people try to trap the propolis. Okay, just grab it by the ears.
Yeah.
You want to put your gloves on? Or?
No, I'm good.
They
I just
said-
wasn't expecting him.
They're sensing your apprehension.
There you go. Slowly lift it up. Okay. You can set it on a corner. What do you see?
So you have capped brood.
Mm-hmm.
I see some larvae, and then lots of honey around the outside still.
You just flip that this way. There you go.
And then this looks like a lot of capped brood.
These bees are doing really well.
Don't see as much larva, but a lot of capped brood. and then the honey around the outsides.
So this hive has not progressed enough to really be a honey producer this year. Go ahead and slide that down, and then slide it towards the wall.
I'm gonna smash it, you guys. And then slide that, then
Yep.
that. Then
Dave,
that.
you want to do it?
Yep.
Just start sliding them close to each other.
That one got me. I was not expecting him.
Did it sting you?
No, he wasn't
buddy, get
there,
out of there.
and then he started climbing up my finger right as I put it into the hole, and it just, oof. Was not expecting him because he wasn't there at first.
Oh, that's okay.
That was not good.
You can use the tool if you want to, if you want to get a little extra leverage. But you get stung?
Am I getting in there tight enough? No, not yet.
He said, no, not yet.
I usually tend to pick them up and
Say, would it be easier to pick up
yeah.
instead
Roll
of
and
sliding
slide it?
against the propolis?
Right.
Where it's less sticky?
just because it gets a little bit gummy along that frame rest.
Yeah.
Okay, then you can pick up that fifth one. Just under the ears there.
Yeah, just making sure there's no bees there.
And sliding it right back. Okay, and take the hive tool and
Tighten
then
her up.
tighten it up, and then slide it kind of to the center.
Oh, the whole thing to the center?
Yep.
So I need to come over here and...
Right.
Okay, excuse me, bud.
Okay. So
Is that good?
that's good. There's not that much of a difference to make. So,
And then do you go on the bottom or no?
well, it kind of depends.
Because there seems like
There-
the way I'm thinking, I guess, is this is looking really good. Is
Mhm.
there a reason to go in the bottom
No.
then?
No, there's not. We didn't see any small hive beetles. We saw lots of brood. We saw lots of honey, and we saw that they're not strong enough yet to bring in a honey crop. So we can kind of say that this is a healthy colony. It's on the verge of doing really well. It's gonna explode. It's gonna have a lot of bees. It is gonna fill up that top box. But it's not quite ready to make honey. So this one is, it was a weak split when I made it, but it's gonna do real well. And next year I think it'll be a very strong honey producing colony if it makes it through the winter. Now I can show you by contrast. Dave, if you want to grab that other box and just put it up on top. What we'll do is give them a little bit of smoke to drive those down and get them off the edges if they're on the edges. And then slide that on. There we go. That was easy enough. And then put the lid up on top. The lid is crumbling. I mentioned that in all my videos, but a lid from a supply store will cost you about $12. I made that one for $1.
Just like MDF and 2 little pieces of pine and you're good to go.
Right. And that was actually broken shelf board from Menards, so the whole board cost me about $3.
And they don't really care too much.
No, it had a broken corner on it, and so I got it cheap. Okay, so now we can compare and contrast with this other hive, and almost out of
Space or
space.
battery?
Yeah, space. So we'll get it going a little bit quick. And okay. So these guys, I just want to show you quickly the difference between 2 hives. Now you saw that one was a little bit on the weak side, but they're very healthy and they're going to do well. This one, on the other hand, is extremely strong. This one is so strong. They're looking for more places to make wax. This is incredible.
So this is an indication along that top edge that they're looking for more space.
These girls are out of space, and I'm gonna have to come back and put more frames on.
Do you add one at a time or two at a time?
Hmm?
Are you gonna add one at a time or two at a time?
Generally add one.
Okay.
But you can, when they're in a 5-frame box like this, you can certainly add 2 if you want. They can handle 10 frames.
Mm-hmm.
This time I'm using my other Hive tool.
To really get down in there to help lift.
It's a little bit.
That's a lot of capped honey and nectar.
This side they're starting to cap, and it is absolutely full.
Mm-hmm.
And here, feel the weight on that. Hand it over to Dave.
That's got to be 10 pounds.
No, it's about 3.
3?
About 3 pounds of honey plus the wax and the
Okay.
woodenware.
Wow.
So-
I'm just too scared to shake them too hard that I'm nervous. So 3 pounds per frame usually then?
On a medium, when
Okay.
when it's full on a medium frame, this is a medium frame. I typically get about 3 pounds, which is equivalent to about a quart of
Okay.
honey per frame. Gotta be careful when I set them down. I don't want to squish anybody. Okay, now you're gonna see what some motivated bees can do on a foundationless frame. This was foundationless, and the queen came up and loaded it up with brood.
So would you move that one down into the hive then, or just leave it?
It's
where
not gonna
at?
matter. I don't. At this point, I'm sad. Right now, I'm sad because this was a beautiful honey frame a week ago. I should have come out and put a queen excluder on to preserve it, but I didn't.
Well, since the hive is doing so well, at this point, would you add a box, put a queen excluder on it?
Well, our honey flow is just about over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's getting to be, it's after 4th of July, things are gonna slow down. Now see, there are no wires, there's no foundation in here. This is pure wax. And the queen kind of ruined it by putting babies in it. But
More bees.
yeah, on the downside, I don't get my comb honey that I wanted. On the upside, healthy hive. Oh man, she is just, I mean, she's going to town. You
She's
see
loading
the
it up.
larvae in there?
Oh yeah.
These are about ready to be capped. And they are out of room. That's why she had to come up here. Oh, gosh.
So how would you have avoided that? Just adding another box with the queen excluder would.
Yeah. This is 100% honey here.
Yeah, that
but
looks good. But that's their food source now for all of the extra bees they lay, right?
Well, they're putting food away for winter.
Mm-hmm.
And look at this propolis over
That's
here.
a lot of it, yeah.
That's
What are the
insane.
uses for that? I know there's uses for it.
Antimicrobial, antibacterial, antiviral. The bees will coat their whole hive in it, and it helps keep them healthy and protected.
So if
But
you get
people
stung, grab
can
some of that
eat it,
and-
and when people eat it, they get health benefits, and it sells, I think, for about $60 a pound the last time I heard. So I hope I didn't put the queen out here. I didn't see her. I know she's in the top box somewhere. Well, she was. Put this back without squishing anybody. Okay. And Smoker. Still going. Smoke those bees. And okay. So just in case I run out of videotaping time, I want to say thank you to you guys for coming out and letting me show you around. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. We'll do a little bit of an outro.
Yeah, thank you.
And then we can continue on, but this is an introduction. This is an introduction to beekeeping, and it's not that difficult. There's a lot of questions. You're gonna find the answers to your questions on your own time, and you can always come and ask me. But the bees will really let you know what they want and when they need it. You just have to get in there and do it. And if it's something that you're interested in, then there's nothing really holding you back. They're not scary. You know, we've all had our hands in there with no gloves on today, and just minimal amount of smoke. And everybody's coming out with all their fingers and toes and no lumps or bruises or bite marks.
No trips to the emergency room?
Yeah, nope. Nobody needed an EpiPen shot today. So this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad to be able to share my knowledge with my friends, and hopefully we'll get a couple of new beekeepers out of this experience today. So remember, wherever you are in the world, you are definitely, if you've got bees, you are beekeeping in paradise. Be kind, be safe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care. You want to say goodbye, guys?
Bye.
Bye, guys.